But the Vaila after Pesach, my wife tells me an unbelievable story that she found here in the Mishpacha magazine, and she asked me what I think about it. So the kid said, the story takes 30 seconds to say, and they managed to pull it out in 20 pages. But no, they did a lot of nice research. Actually, the person that wrote the article has the bragging rights to write 50 pages, not only 30 or 20. It's a word, though. I don't know how they get paid, but this guy really did. He did a lot of work on the story and really nice work. Sometimes it's just not just the filler stories, but okay. So the kid said, in the 1800s came a Mr. Miller. Rabbi Yisrael Miller moved to the United States. Unusual. He stayed from, kept Shabbos, his children from. His daughter was born in the United States. Her daughter Jenny was born here in Philadelphia, and she was a frum woman. Got married, and her and her husband had a factory. I don't know why maybe their name is Miller because they had a mill, but no, I'm kidding. They were fabulously wealthy. They actually founded the People's Trust Bank because they felt that Jews were getting a little shafted by the banks because they were Jewish. So they opened the bank that would be fair to Jews. In their lifetime, they built the headquarters of the bank was a 25-story building, very impressive building, wealthy family. So Jenny lost her husband. This is, Agav, you might want to read the article yourself. I didn't read the article. I'm just getting you a little snippet of what my wife's telling me and what I looked today. I don't have time to read this entire article. But what's Nagaya? The Nakuda is that she was given from a Bible. And so if you look at the article, she had a chair. I have to tell you this, a funny story. By the way, I ruined the story a little bit for you. So, Shine. She had a Gedolim chair. I kid you not. So she had a chair that Gedol Yisrael would come. But you go through the article, the Frierdiker Rebbe sat on this chair. Mamish, you had who's who from Gedol Yisrael that were in America. The Baruch Ber Leibovitz, it was who didn't sit on that chair. The picture of Bianca Kamenetsky sitting on the chair because they were very friendly to the Kamenetsky family. It's now that I ruined the story for you already. So the article starts like this. A guy shows up a couple of years ago in Ponevitch. He walks in to the foyer and he's looking around and he says, where's the menahel? He's really upset. Where's the menahel? Okay, so they bring him to the menahel's office and he says, where's the plaque for Jenny Miller? He says, well, so that's the very Jenny Miller. Who is she? He says, this building is supposed to have a big plaque on it saying that this building was dedicated by Jenny Miller. I have a manila, he pulls out a manila envelope, a contract between the Bavram Kahanman, the father of Rabbi Yosef Shalom Kahanman, that they're building now a building for Ponevitch, it was in Europe, and she's giving $8,000, which they say today would be valued at $700,000. That's what they made a cheshbon. They have some cheshbon based on. That's $700,000. So yeah, based on inflation, but counted with gold, whatever. Give or take, it's $8,000 she's giving. So Jenny Miller is giving Rav Kahaman $8,000 to build a building for the Yeshiva's Ponevitch, and Yeshiva's Ponevitch has a plan to move to Palestine. So when they move the yeshiva to Palestine, the name of the building goes with the yeshiva. When they rebuild the yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, it has to be the Jenny Miller building. I don't see a single plaque for Jenny Miller. What's going on? The kids said, this is Taka. The two Rosh Yeshivas, there was a Rav Kahanman signed on it, and that Rav Ephraim Yolis. Do you remember Rav Yolis? Rav Yolis was a Rav in Philadelphia. Taki was a Rebbe Sheinik. Well, he comes on a Rebbe. He was more like sort of a Litvish, like Schnit. He was both. Yeah, he used to come to Rebbe's Verbrengen. He used to come every Cholamoy to the Rebbe. Every video that Rebbe, you see him. Yeah. There's a beautiful.
End of his life, he was living in Borough. That's raviolis?
He lives in Philadelphia. I don't know.
Okay.
Could be at Mishpocha.
But I didn't ask one time.
He's no the big Fabrengens. He's come Cholamoy to the Rebbe Yechidus Lakabo Hagbot Rabbi. He was a host of the Friedrich Rebbe. He was a Zokan Muflig. A Zokan Muflig. He came to America. There's a picture of him when he was young. He was at Philadelphia already in 1936.
Okay.
He signed on this. He made the shidduch between Jenny Miller and Rav Kahneman he helped all the Doyle Yisrael that way. He was a Frumerov in Philadelphia, but Taka Frumerov. Nicht gewesen Ayid mit der Hades Ponem Zok in 1936. I have a picture of Rav Yolis back. Yeah, the picture of it. See,
was very hard to get closer.
here, this is Mrs. Miller. This is Jenny Miller, and here's a picture of her bank.
Oh, big.
Did it survive the depression?
She survived the depression. Here's Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky sitting in the Gedolim chair. This chair she originally commissioned because the Friedrich Rebbe stayed in her house.
He opened a shul in his house, and that became the only from block in Philadelphia. People flocked to it.
Oh yeah.
My parents bought a house in the block when I was already making out with.
Who?
Yes.
Raviolis, yeah. Here's a picture of Raviolis. Oh, here. So this is back in his young. This doesn't cook Mishra Americana rabbi. This is Raviolis. He was young. I mean,
He fundraised for RIshon.
fundraise for all the yeshivas. He helped the Friedrich Rebbe a tremendous amount. It's like a help now. It's a chosed, not Talmud, but it was a given. He was. So the kids, the guy comes and he says, "Where is Jenny Miller's plaque?"
Is he a descendant of Jenny?
No, so it turns out he's not. He's the researcher of this article. He was bored, and Gikumatz again COVID, and he had he's from the Kamenetsky family.
Does she have any
So
descendants?
she doesn't. She never didn't have children.
Mm-hmm.
So she was very friendly with the Kamenetsky family, and all her like personal. They had boxes and boxes. The Kamenetsky family has boxes and boxes of her after she passed away from her. So in COVID, this guy sat there sifting through, looking. They're interesting. He was bored. This guy that writes the article was bored when COVID. Dovi Safir. So he was bored and he was reading. Anyway, Gikumatz again. So Yeshiva Ponevitch, guys, what's going on? Where's the? I found in the box. I found the contract, and I don't find the plaque. So there was a back and forth. The yeshiva said that The yeshiva said no, that we don't really owe anything to Jenny Miller because the taina was the contract was that when we're going to move to Palestine, but we never moved to Palestine. What happened was that Rav Kahanman, but that Rav Kahanman was collecting money. He was going around Europe. He was in Eretz Yisrael. The war broke out. The yeshiva Nebuch Rachmana litzlan was wiped out. And there was nothing left from the yeshiva. It was when he rebuilt, Kanman rebuilt the yeshiva's Ponevitch, he rebuilt it from scratch. There was nothing besides the name of the yeshiva. There was nothing left. The Talmidim, the Ramam, Rachmana litzlan, all died al Kiddush Hashem. So they said, we'll put up in the foyer of the building, we'll put up a nice plaque. And that's what they put up here. They put up a plaque here. They put up a plaque in the
thing on the bottom.
Yeah, they commissioned a new plaque, and they put up a plaque, and they said that they're doing it, as a. Definitely should have said. Yeah, look,
Rabbi Morasso.
it cost that much money to put up another plaque, and no, there was no one to ask. I know who did you ask, but she doesn't have. I don't know.
I have a story. I have a Kamenetsky story.
Someone came in to say, I see the room dedicated to my parents. And the Rosh Yeshiva was said, here, have some tea first. And he signaled to this other guy, take care of it. The guy goes in another room, takes out a drawer, takes out the plaque, and he goes in and he unplaques the other plaque, goes on top of that room, and he puts the regular plaque there, and then they take the family to see it.
Oy. So this is the topic that I want to discuss right now. Okay, so the Vaila, I was discussing. Maybe next week we'll, other things about. Okay.
Well, let me ask you. You have, let's say, I'm married, and once the spouse dies, the marriage is over.
The party to the agreement are dead, they're both dead.
Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. This is a valid shaila. So Lepoel Yeshivas Ponevitch felt that they're not chayav, and Lepoel they put a beautiful plaque. I mean, it says in base yeshivas they didn't take off the other plaques. It's complicated. We should take off the other plaques. They wrote a beautiful plaque. Base yeshivas Pesa Basa Rabbi Yisrael Yeshivas Ponevitch Bib Ponevitch Labavitch of Labavitch, like because they're writing that this was the they're trying to go back to the Ilu Nishma Tzvi Beremeir Mordechai Miller, her first husband. Zichr and Brocha Netzach Lanadiva Hanechbada. And then they do again Maras Pesach Basar Bisrol, the Bailer of Nissen, but Avram Yitzchak Alevi Fagin. That was her second husband. Her second husband was a cousin to Reb Chatzah Fagin. So that's why that made the connection. When the Frierdiker Rebbe came here the first time, he stayed in their house for a week. So why I say that this guy did a lot of research, because all the Gdolei Yisrael that sat on that chair, so he goes through in the article who was there. So who spent some time in Philadelphia and who got money from her. Hint, the Frierdiker Rebbe managed to get out of her even more than Kahneman. Could you imagine that? I always thought when the Frierdiker Rebbe came here it was a disaster, because when he ended up coming here, it was already the Depression.
Right.
So Taka.
Huh?
So when he came here, that's when he got with a lot of commitments. He had a lot of commitments. But according to this article, Dafke, Mrs. Miller, Jenny Taka gave him, the Frierdiker Rebbe got from her $9,000. And she organized a dinner. If there's time today, I'll tell the story. And if not, it was fascinating, because they found an article that someone that was there wrote in 1980 to the editor of the Jewish Press. I'll just tell you, this guy did some serious research about all the Gdolei Yisrael that were involved and were recipients from Nidvas Liba of Jenny Miller. That was very interesting. Anyway, but our shayla today is about Yeshivas Ponevitch, and if they came to us today, Yeshivas Ponevitch asked us what we think about this. What would we say? Okay. So 2 Nakudis. I want to cover 2 Nakudis very quickly because the time is short. One is that there is a whole plethora of shalas atshuvas about ownership of space in a shul, which is not exactly the shaila, and soon we'll get exactly to our shaila. But we're in the Pasha right now. Mitzvah Hashem is Borach. We're going to, everyone here will say Kapitel Tilim and 2 Kapitel Tilim. And Mitzvah Hashem is Borach, where on Lag Boimer, where Lag Boimer will close the Mitzvah Hashem on the new property. But
Where's it going to be?
it's down the block.
The opening.
So
E17?
E17 and I. So the olden days, they had a method, methods change a little bit, but fundraising methods seem to go like around similar patterns. So things don't change all that much. They build a shul. So today, you want to buy a brick, 2 bricks for the shul. But a table, you buy a chair. But then they take a soul. They would map out the shul. They would map out, say there is 100 seats by the men and 50 seats for the women. They'd map out the shul, and they would put a price tag. In Mizrach, the more choshev seats were more expensive. So say the whatever it's going to cost. Let's use ruble. Yeah, Rav Minyan of Bnei Yisrael lived under the ruble system for a long time. So say they knew that it'll cost them 1,000 ruble to build the shul. Okay, so they said so the Gabaim would sit down with a chart, and they would say, okay, so the choshev seats are 25 ruble a piece. The lesser seats are 20 ruble a piece, 5 ruble a piece. And then that's how they would raise the money to buy the land and build the building. So then they would have all kinds of. So you can imagine that this is going to lead to a lot of trouble. So then the shul makes an expansion project. Where the Gabbai put me over there? Who does he think the Gabbai is? My Eltazay, I have here a contract. Look at the manila envelope. This was signed clearly in 1545. It was signed right over here. The Zez, the Gaba, Yamayel, Elta Zayda. It was signed that he's 3 seats from the Mizrach. Now you put me 6 seats from the Mizrach, from the Oren Kodesh. I kid you not. This is a Shabbos and Chuvas, the back and forth. This is the. So there's we find the 2 attitudes, Bechlolus, and therefore I'm quoting two main from the Nesivos HaMishpat and the Chassam Sofer that seem to disagree on this question about Mekoymes B'Beis HaKnesses. Oisha Mishpat writes like this: Kumoisha Adim B'Mavi Ken Adim B'Mekoymes B'Beis HaKnesses. V'chein Osha Sheish Lo Im Mekoymes Rabim ובני הכנסת באים להוסיף ספסלים בבית הכנסת במקום הפנויים כדי להרוויח הצדקה ושיבואו רבים לספלו. They read the shul. They said we can't afford to expand, but there's a lot of space between the benches. Let's add a couple of benches to the shul, and we could raise some more funds. We could sell some more seats, like 770 does for Tishrei. Like a few years ago, people discovered. Like Al Derech Moshel, if a bench is 5 people sitting on a bench, the Gaboim 6 people sitting on the bench. So this is exactly,
And only skinny.
you have to be super skinny. So they were boys of stuff selling Beis HaKnesses, but Mekoymes HaPnuim, Kedei L'Arviach HaTzedakah, V'Shevo Yirabim L'Spal, V'Shechidim Roitzim L'Isha B'Emtza HaDerech, Ha'osher Yoch Limchas, B'Tayna Shemeitze Lo HaDerech, Amar Balov HaDerech. The Osher says, no, I bought my space, and originally the plan was that I have to squeeze you to get to my place. Now you don't have a right to go. The original plan of the Beis HaKnesses was that there's going to be kach v'kach space between the tables and the benches, so I could comfortably get with my children to my table. And now you want to squeeze in that's not there. You can't do that. That's the Ramah. The Nesivos writes, "Amnam nida zadavka shabeis HaKnesses ukayim kim shekona mekoymes b'derech meruvach." Ein yochel shenois derech tzar shekvar zoche b'derech hameruvach. Aber kshenisra Beis HaKnesses yechelum zayin tu v'yayir sheroitzin levnoisa lahagdol Beis HaKnesses lahoisef mekoymes keritzonim v'dei shela mos levnoisa dezayin tu v'yayir yechelum limkar kol mokem v'levnoisa b'mokem acher v'en lo yishayim tviyah rak al mashagi al chelkim k'vi shumas hamokem shelahem b'churba v'sach zeh yechelum lahagdol lahem ima'akvim. That what happens if the shul burns down? So the Gaboim, if these guys are really giving a headache to the Gaboim could say like this: when a shul gets burnt, but the guy has a seat in the shul, how much is the value of that seat to get sold? If there's a beautiful shul and a person has a seat in Mizrach and he could sell it to sounds like he has selling rights, but now that it was burned, he lost all his rights, and they could give him back his money, whatever it's worth right now. Otherwise, he has to work with them. His whole schus is in the old Beis HaKnesses. In the new Beis HaKnesses, he has hardly any schus. That's what he says, which is interesting. Some Sofer says no, it's not true. Some Sofer in Yeridei, some RIshon Beis says no, that he does have. He has so basically, it sounds like how strong the kinyan is. It's like, according to some Sofer, the guy has an actual kinyan, like he has like real estate here. There's a strong piece of real estate in the shul. According to the Nesivos, he has a very shvacha piece of real estate in the shul. He doesn't really have, and the truth is, if you look in the Nesivos in Simakuf Tzadik Beis, the next paragraph, he brings from the Taz that that a person buys the rights to walk on a road to his farm. So if he buys the farm, he has to make he has to break the gate, he has to walk. But if he only bought the right to walk to his farm, so kana behiluch v'chein mokem Beis HaKnesses, Dr. Taz, kimin sheyoshev ala kona hoil the tash mishamokem hulakach. He doesn't have to make a strong chazak in the seat to pick up the chair, to place the chair. The fact that he sat down once to daven in a seat. Why? Because he doesn't really, if you had a kinyan aguf, you would have to make a strong kinyan. But his kinyan is a shvache kinyan. It's sort of a kinyan aguf lepeiros. So therefore, now, could be some Sofer will also agree that it's not mamash a kinyan aguf, but it's a simplistic way of saying the machlokas of the Nesivos and some Sofer would be, there's a concept of selling a tree. And you could sometimes you sell the tree. I have a field. These 3 trees belong to you. Now, At some point, it could be even the land around the trees belong to you because of it. But it could be I just sold you the tree. But that sometimes I'm not selling the tree. I'm selling a gufle peidosa. You only have the peidos of the tree. So could be that's sort of the machloikas between some sefer that the guy owns the tree. If the guy owns a tree, he still doesn't own the land. Still doesn't own the. He owns a tree.
When it sells the fruits, forever.
Yeah. So that could be the machloikas. But now let's get to another issue.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
Are you going to be talking about where tonight comes in when a shul decides they're going to make a shul? They say that right now it's 10,000 square feet, but we build into the picture that we have the right to expand. And do they have to spell it out, or is it implied that
Right,
anytime
this
you
is-
build something, it's impossible you're going to expand even 200 years from now? That
No,
anyone who
this
buys a
no.
thing now can't expect that 200 years from now his great grandchildren are going to say, I'm entitled to that seat because the great Zeta sat there.
Yeah, no. Everyone agrees that he has. That was the deal. The deal's a deal for 1,000 years. The question was only when the shul get burnt. No one was arguing that the guy owns the seat for 1,000 years. The question is only when the
Does it have to be spelled out?
it has to be spelled out.
It's
Today,
not implied.
it's not implied today because those days that was the going thing. Shul wants to build a shul. That's how you build. So when the Gaboim came and they sold it, everyone knew it was Bistam was Kimefarish. Everyone knew what the deal was. That was the deal. That's the way they built shuls.
And does it make a difference?
No, it's 770 today, and all shuls today is different. They're only selling you. They're not selling you. Yeah, they're selling. It's different. No, it wasn't like those. Today's shuls are not selling it that way.
It's a lease. Leasing it. Membership.
It's a membership. It's a schus to sit in the seat. It's a different type of sale these days. Yeah, you have a certain chazaka. There is a certain thing, but not like strong like this.
Somebody adds on the bill, all of a sudden, this guy seat, but that was now sitting
The guy will have even a less of a taina than this. This is going to go into this. If 770 is going to expand one day, this shaila is going to become what's it called? But it'll be less because the Gaboim could say today we never mamish sold you, but it's not true. But he does have a chazaka from year to year. I don't know. It's a good shaila because it's not as strong as these guys in the old days that they would pay for it once and again the fact that you have to come back and pay every year. So the Gabe could say, okay, so you have the first dibs at it. Madaf tracht, I hear. But could be if 770. They're talking now. They want to expand 770. So if it will come to pass, then taka. The shaila is a good shaila.
Somebody owns a community show or a yeshiva or a private show.
I don't think it makes a difference because the deal is a deal. It's a Tanai Shabbat, and I don't see at this point a difference.
Or could be that somebody owns, if you own a piece of a place, so you have to also you pay for maintenance.
For maintenance.
It's maybe.
So could be you're saying it's the same thing today, but really it's maintenance. I don't know.
And not the same thing when the shul burns or when someone burns it.
No. Shaila is
It's a different story.
a person that has a chazaka today in a shul that he buys the same space for Roshim Kipa for many, many, many years, and the shul now rebuilds. Would it be exactly the same achloikis, or maybe it's a little less today because every year you got to pay? So you're saying that's only maintenance. So now we're getting closer to our shaila. You see some why I brought the other thing too. He made a condition with the call when he was a builder. He built a shul. He made a condition with the community that the next time the shul is rebuilt, he has this chus to rebuild it. And if he's not alive, his son, his grandson, his great-grandson. This family cannot sell the schus. We're willing, by the way, these days to give our schus away for free. We're willing to give it away for free. These guys were fighting. Who is going to pay? So there's a family. This is a din Shulchan Aruch. There's a family that had a schus to build the shul. So no one disputes their right. That whenever there is expansions going on in the shul, they get the schus to build it. They wanted now to go flip it. They wanted to make money on this deal. They're going to give this schus to someone else, and they'll get paid for it.
Maybe they were getting paid the first time around.
No, so this is the shaila. Okay, so now we should advertise this. Could you imagine? People were arguing. I want to build the shul, and I'm going to sell the schus to someone else.
That's a business.
A business. The Taz. They were going to build for shul for free. For free. For sure for free. For sure for free.
This type of stories.
ובתז, במורדך, סופרק, החויבל, מייסי, ריילה, זה מדברינן, תחתב מבונוב, בנוי קודם לכל אודם. יוכל אף על פי שאין ממעלה מקום על בויסם, תלמלוימר, ואשר מילה יזיודי. This week's parsha, last week's parsha, that we learned, dafka bezman shemamala mokem al boisov, that like by Kohen Gadol, that his son, if he's mamala mokem al boisov, he has the first to take the schus. But he has to be Malam Mokum Avosav that he's a Yir Shemaim. If he's not a Yir Shemaim, then the Kehillah could say, no, we want to appoint a different Kohen Gadol. So this is something that goes from father to son, but this is something you can't sell. You can't sell it. Okay. Atkan Lashoinai from the Mordechai. That's what the Mordechai says. Zokte, now the Taz, Nida Li, Zeo, Dafke, Bizman, Shakol, Kibdu, Le'odom, or Le'echod, Bedove, Zed, Dumi, the Hida Kohen Gadol, Shemamanim, Le'selachin. Just like a Kohen Gadol, there, appoint a Kohen Gadol, he gets his chus. So now that he's appointed, if his Seyav is, he has a son that's a Yerushalayim, when he passes away, the son gets the Yerusha, that he has his chus to become the Kohen Gadol. You can't appoint a different Kohen Gadol, only the son. Avalim Konech, and I call Zechus. What happened if a person paid for the schus? When they originally built the shul, he put down a large sum of money and he paid for the schus. I have the schus to build the shul. Now it belongs to him. So the schus belongs to him. He could sell it to someone else. His grandson could sell it to someone else. It's a saying the guy can't go sell it to a scoundrel in town. But this is not stock real estate. This is not pizza pies. This is not selling a piece of real estate and you can build a 7-Eleven there.
The shul could say that because they can say
the shul could say, we only sell, you have the right to sell the schus, but we want you to we can't get a scoundrel. This is not a pastnish. That there'll be a few Mexicans standing there as playing their music and they're building our basic Knesset. We're not interested in that. We want Yereim V'Shleim should be building our shul. So they could say, when we sold you the schus, we sold it adas that not a Adam Sheine Hogan is going to go build for us a shul. Okay, but the idea that you see from the Taz is what I'm driving at, is that there is a concept here. There's an interesting concept. So what did they sell? And I was looking on this Taz. I was looking. I found that there was a Choshev Rav. I mentioned once from one of his. He was a Rav in Polotsk about 100 years ago. There was Rabbi Lezer Barkan. So he was Lubavitcher Rav. He talks about this. He says, "What do you mean? What's the?" He says, what do you mean? Well, what did they sell? He says, Yesh loim da kaponim yesh lam karka livnes ala. Mekiven shemachel lam laechot zachusam shelo yuchel livnes basic knesses zelose avlile he makne loy bekarka be basic knesses gufam zchusam shelo yivne lam ula meuma zelose. Hayek bayis ladire davidov sheyesh b'mamish. He says, how do you sell? What do you sell? You can't sell promises. And you can't sell, you can only sell and buy.
Yeah, although we have futures. At least in
That's a question. That's not an answer. You're asking a question how you could sell. And today in America, you could sell the names of stars. But al pi halacha, you can't do such a thing. You can only make a kinyan with a box of tissue or a bag of cookies. It has to be a davar sheyesh b'mamish. You can't sell or buy things. No, but you have to sell something. So he says because there is there's a piece of land, they own a piece of land, the shul, or they own a building. So when they sold him the schus, as if he has a certain, it's hard to figure out what it is. It's a guf lepeirosavat, but he has some bailas in this piece of land that the community sold him, that he has the schus. It's not just that they sold him. You can't sell schusim. That's what he's saying. We sell aliyas. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. But he says it's not posh. You can't just sell schusim. How do you sell schusim? When they sold the person the right to build a shul, it's as if he bought a piece of the land, as if he has lamazog. That's not what he's saying, but as if he has 10% of the land. It's the same thing like a person buys a decal lepeirosa. He really owns the decal, but he doesn't own the decal. And there's a difference, la alocha, if he bought only the peiris decal or a decal lepeirosa. He bought the decal, he can't cut it, he can't chop it, but he owns the decal lepeirosa. This guy has an ownership. He owns the palm tree, but he doesn't really own the palm tree. Only owns the palm tree for the fruits that it gives. So this guy, he doesn't own the shul. He owns the shul to the extent that he's the only guy that has the right to build, to expand, to put in the windows, the doors, to put in the carpet, to put in the sconces, to put in the chandelier.
He doesn't decide these things have to happen. And these things have to happen, and the call decides, he is the one.
Probably, yeah. But back to our shaila with the Ponevitch Yeshiva, I think the answer is simple. I just wanted to lahagel Torah lahadira, but in my thought is that the Ponevitch Yeshiva is right. If they had sold the building in Europe and taken the proceeds and bought another building in Bnei Brak, so we could say Jenny Miller has a certain schus. It's hard to characterize what, but she has a certain schus in this building. She can't come and say, I want to store my tissue papers in your building. She can't say, I want to come make my office. I want to move from Philadelphia to Ponevitch. But she has a certain bailus. She has a bailus on that schus in this building. If they went and sold that building and now moved it to Bnei Brak, she would still have the same bailus. But they didn't sell it. All its land, everything was stolen. Just till today. Try to get back Jewish property in Eastern Europe today. Try today. I went with my wife, Taka, a couple of years ago. We went to Tarnov and Karoka. Her Zayda was a Ayida Gvir, and he had a big. The store is still there. You can't get it. Yeah, don't waste your time. Sagalechte. But you could prove that Leiza Brod owned the store. So sure. Doesn't mean anything. You can't. So you can't get Eastern Europe and Chazedim. They don't care. They don't want to give back the Jewish properties that they stole. Again. So.
By the way, it's not only in Europe. The Arab country.
The Arab country, same thing. You're right. Exactly.
My family was one of the richest ones. They left everything behind.
Right. And could you go today and go?
Kidding?
You're kidding. Exactly. If you'll prove it, you'll come with documents. Exactly. So.
The old city. People getting back from before.
The Yidden are trying to get back. Yeah.
And what's there?
Listen, I have a friend of mine that his father bought the land of the Knesset. And the Israeli government wanted to build a Knesset there. He still has the papers in Argentina.
That he owns it?
Yeah. And he said, no, you didn't pay taxes for whatever years, so you can't have it.
The fine side.
So Ramela, I think that Shivas Ponevitch was right. If they had sold the building, then Taka, the schus that they sold to Jenny Miller belongs to her. But that Taka, if it's true that the mile is a chisaron, the chumra turns into kula. Because if you say Taka, what's the pshat when a person gets the naming rights of the building? Bez Hashem Yisborach, in our new building, someone is going to buy the naming rights of the building. No one,
More than 9,000.
So, so it's taka going to be a serious shaila. It's a serious shaila. It's a taka. You can't play with it because the person has a kinyan unless you make a tanai otherwise. The person has a kinyan in the gufa karka. So you have to deal with that person. You have to talk to them. Because the person has a certain bailus in this. But in the case of Ponevitch, it turns on its head because Jenny Miller has a bailus in the karka, and the karka was stolen. So again,
On Ocean Parkway, there's a Syrian shul on Ocean Parkway, and when they built the annex, so they had a dedication for the annex, but they didn't take off the plaque on the original shul, which is next to it.
But the schools doesn't have to be a schools.
Which one?
That's Torah.
Be done as a
That's
schools of writing the name, and it's like it's dok and not a Bibles or something.
Okay, so you could argue, you could say not that way. I think that this is a very strong
When you give me $1
argument.
million, you want to know that it's yours.
I think it's a certain bias in the karka. Again, it's not like you own anything here, but it's like Elon
You
Lepedois
don't
or
want to put the
something,
name on, take it off hour. Like,
right? You have a bias in that karka. You have a bias. It was sold to you. So in the case of Ponevitch Taka, it's the other way around because it was stolen.
She
So
wanted this supposed to be forever. That's why she put the name on.
Right.
Yeah.
but had the building
that's-
not be stolen,
Right.
had they sold it, they say, look, whatever the proceeds is, so she has a schus in those proceeds. You went and you bought another yeshiva, so the schus stays the same.
I heard Lahavdil.
No, they're very nice. They did the right thing.
Lahavdil, there's this famous Schwarzer comedian who donated money and they put a building plaque, and then he got disgraced, so then they took it away, his name. What happens if a Jewish person gets caught doing something bad? Can the shul take off his name, or does he?
Maybe, because you see, the Taz said they could argue. You could argue. See, the Taz says that this guy bought the schus. No, it's a good question. You brought up a good question. They could say we gave it a daita that it'll be Adam Hagun, but if it's Adam Sheina Hagun, we can't. When we sold it originally, we only sold it at daita that this schus will be for Adam Hagun.
Right, the Kohen Gadol.
Less, I think. Less. I'm saying Kohen God, the son has to be Mamala Mokum Avoisa B'Yir Shamayim. When they sold the schus, the Kila can't say, was he as big as the Yir Shamayim of the Zayda? No, because you can't say that. They sold the schus, but you could say, they said, if the guy is a scoundrel, we can't have our name on a building.
You name Gadol. You can
Okay,
take it.
let's quickly,
Stop Rebbe once said that he has proof that there's no life on moon.
yeah.
If there was a Haman would have been there already.
Collect tzedakah.
Isaiah, the lead from Argentina went to Venezuela. The doctor told him that he has to go to a dry place, so he went to Arad. In Arad, he had a house. The Kerer Rebbe came to Arad usually, and he told Isaiah that he should sell his house and to start a shul for them. So forward a few years, I come to Eretz Yisrael. My uncle wants to show me the plaque and the building that he built, and there is no plaque. And they took me to I don't know where, a room, whatever, in the back that the plaque was sitting there. So Mamish,
That's a taina.
it's a big taina. Yeah,
Taina.
but it's not. Some people you can't time.
Okay, let's go quick. Two more shilas. The other one, I just wanted to finish off what we said last week about checking eggs. Basically, I mentioned about hard-boiled eggs or scrambled eggs. We saw that the Rebbe used to not check when the Rebbe by the Seder, the Rebbe used to peel the egg, and the Rebbe ate the egg without checking it. So because that's the halach in Shulchan Aruch, but there's an interesting twist to it. You're allowed to have beitzim tzluis. I think, by the way, when the Shulchan Aruch says beitzim, doesn't mean what you think, scrambled eggs. Because
Hard-boiled eggs.
he means hard-boiled. He just didn't know. Maybe they used to roast it, but I think also
Because
it's just a way of saying.
If you open them one by one,
Sheini Michaelis Lebodek. V'chein ein tzarech livdek ha-beitzim yesh b'am dam, v'sam charei beitzim shein b'am dam. V'chol mokum noagu the Yidden anoyeg lahachmer k'she'oisin meichel in beitzim b'yoyim she'roim b'em yesh b'am dam. So why the beitzim tzluyas are they not things? So you could learn it in two ways. Either you can learn it's talking the Yovad, that they weren't by the kid, or you can learn that the Pshat and Shulchan Aruch is it's that, like I said before, beitzim tzluyas means whole eggs. So what are they supposed to do? How could you open an egg, check it, and then close it? What are you supposed to do? Put crazy glue on it? And then how are you supposed to check an egg before you cook it if you want to have hard-boiled eggs.
They never took this chumer because of that.
Right. So it's interesting machloikis now. The other frame says, "Kosav Marebe Chaim Vital Zal Lekutei Torah B'Shara Mitzvahs Parshas Acharei Mois." So again, it's funny because Hashgacha Pratis we're learning. I mean,
We learned.
but it's not because it's in the mitzvah Parsha Acharei Mois. Binyan Beitz Etzluya. I'm saying it's a Hashgacha Pratis. The shaila comes up. Sometimes certain shailas come up, and it's like on the week of the Parsha, like, that we're talking, like we were dealing with it last week and this week, it's this week's Parsha, but the Shaila just came up. Maybe Raim and Atalma behind comes when he is Bates, Shechaya, it's Luya. He swallowed the whole egg. So how did he swallowed the whole egg? That means that he didn't check it. It's a svek sveka and the rabbanon. Obviously, the Arizal held that the whole thing of a blood spot is only the rabbanon, not like the other opinion of Tosfos that holds that it could be a deraisa. We spoke about it last week. And it's a svek sveka. What's a svek sveka? A suffix there's blood, suffix there's not blood. And if there is blood, if it's also type of blood, it's mutter type of blood. Because Tosfos says that there is a certain type of blood that's mutter. Maybe he doesn't explain what's a svek sveka. And then he bedikta kol mashakotza bilte shgich b'mashma sheyesh lo bedika. Ilo bagos v'moni yeshev beis Yosef mashma she'ein bedika b'tzliya. Mashkotza maron the beis Yosef bedin zevek. So that he's saying that we see a machloikis between the beis Yosef and the Arizal. The Arizal says that these beitzim after they're cooked einam yecholos libodek. You can't. But what are you going to see? Of your cooked egg, you're going to open up. What are you going to see? It's cooked already. How are you going to find the Einim Yecholos Libadik? It's impossible to be boidik after it's cooked. From that Arizal, it's mashma that you could. Elamai, there's no need to do it. That's the mashma and the lotion from that Arizal. So because of but there be an afkamina. What's if a person has a cooked egg and he opens it up and he thinks he found the blood spot? So if you hold like that Arizal, the Arizal says you don't have to check it, but look, if you checked it, it's a blood spot. You have to throw it out. That's the minhag Yisrael. But if you hold like the Beis Yosef, Einam Yecholos Libadik, it's whatever you see, you think you see. You're not seeing anything. You think you found the blood spot, you found nothing, because once it's cooked, everything is distorted. You have no idea if this is a blood spot. It's not a blood spot. Obviously, you're never going to find the red blood spot after you cook the egg. Shaila is, if you open it up and you find something that looks to you that, before you cooked it, this would have been a blood spot. So that seems to be the machloikes between the Arizal and the Beis Yosef. That the Arizal, the Beis Yosef says, Einim Yecholos Libadik. You can't check it. There's no way that you figured out if this is a blood spot or not. And the Arizal says there is a way. Anyway, because of the chalak ben beitz etzluya koshes v'korim lo rivdan. Shim yesh, in Arabic, I guess. Shim yesham dam efsher shiro miyad. Elad lefi zeh. He says that maybe it's a difference if it's fried eggs or cooked eggs. And the scrambled eggs you can't see it, and cooked eggs you could see it, and it's not a machloikis really. Elad lefi zeh, he says you don't understand. If it's true that you could figure out if there's dam, so what's the raya? Maybe in the time of the shas when they ate egg, they would. When it means that really opened it up, and if you'd say, so that's a shayk. Now you know why I think that soilen means to cook in a pot with water. Do you hear the funny thing?
Because in those days they used to have a fire made of wood or whatever, and maybe they put the things there.
Maybe they put the egg on the fire. In work, that could be also. Right, someone just said that was water. But you hear that? They would take the egg, would open it up, they would check if there's a blood spot, they would put it, I don't know how they did it, they'd put it back, and they would put scotch tape and crazy glue, and then they would cook it.
Maybe they were cooking on the water when it was open.
Nah, look, read the words. Merikim betchila bekoira, machzirin oisan likli posan, v'sois min hanekev. It's funny. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how to do it today. How did they figure out how to do it? And the bottom line is that he says, "V'sayim ba bin golas niglas divrei kodshay Rabbeinu Arizal ein lochish l'chumretz b'nei adam shekotzav shenoyam laharik tchilat." Obviously, now that Rabbi Chaim Vital told us that his Rebbe Meiser Rab, that the Arizal himself used to not check the eggs once it was fried or cooked, so there's no Indian to be machmir more than the Arizal. The only,
not even before.
No. The Arizal did check before. It just that the Arizal, once it was cooked, he didn't check. But Pashtus, what it means is not, if there was a scramble, that's what I'm saying. I think the Pshat and Shulchan Aruch is mutar lechel beit and sluyas doesn't mean scrambled eggs. It means cooked eggs. So if it's cooked in water, it was cooked on a fire, like you said, whatever. Because what are you going to do? How are you supposed to have, if you want to have a hard-boiled egg, we have your egg salad, right? How are you supposed to make, if you're supposed to check, how are you going to check the eggs? Can't. We're going to open it, put it back, and put crazy glue around it? Maybe there were some people that were machman, they knew how to do it, but we definitely don't know how to do it. So, bottom line is that the Arizal was noyek to eat whole eggs after they were cooked. The only nafkamina between the Arizal and the Beis Yosef is that from the Lashon the Beis Yosef is if you're gonna open up a whole egg, you don't have to check it. Whatever. Say by the Seder, you don't want to have the whole egg, right? You want to have a piece of the egg, right? Not always do you want to eat the whole egg. So you take off the shell and you open the egg and you dip it in salt water or whatever. Or anytime you make an egg salad, right? So you take off the peels and then you start mashing the eggs. What happens if you see something that looks to you like a blood spot? If you hold like the Beis Yosef, it's nothing. Whatever you saw is you didn't see anything.
Butter.
You didn't see anything. It's not bottle. It's you're fooling yourself. But according to that Israel, no. If Taka he didn't check because he didn't think you have to check, it's the Rabbanon, it's a svek, and in his mind there was no reason to be machmir. But Taka, if you're making an egg salad and you see something and it looks to you like a blood spot, according to that Israel, you Taka have to be machmir and you Taka have to throw it out. So the emphasis, it's very unusual.
You throw out the whole thing.
When was the last time that you had a cooked egg, made an egg salad, or at the Seder that you opened up an egg and you saw something that looked to you like a blood spot?
Never.
It's like, if you think about it, it's taka. But in the theoretical case that you once make an egg salad and you see something that looks to you like a blood spot, so you should be machmir like that. Definitely that every Yiddish Shemayim should be machmir, even though you're not machuyah. we follow Shulchan Aruch, Maron Beis Yosef, but definitely every Yid that's a Yiddish Shemayim would be machmir like the.
Machmir to take the whole egg salad, only scoop it.
I would say to scoop that part. Yeah.
Shabbos you're allowed to do.
Oh, Shanoch Hashayla. Okay, quickly, a few seconds over here. Someone asked me, what's the size of a yamel? Huh? The Muchatonim, right. That is on the Beis Yosef Muchatonim. Exactly. So, okay. What was the question? Someone asked me, what's the size of a yarmulke? How big does a yarmulke have to be? Is there a size? Is not a size?
The size of the person's head.
Is there a size? So it's a good question. It's a good question. Let's read quickly what the Alter Rebbe writes.
Cover the body. That's it.
Oh, does I? Midas Chassidus Shalei Dal Damas Begil Rosh Gam B'Meim Sharev Amerigin Leilach Lapam Harba Begil Rosh Menachem B'Meim. Achshav is Manazah Shkulam Dakum Lachasas Rosh B'Olam also Leilach Bila Leishev Begil Rosh Mishum Tznius. In the time of the Shas, it was only Midas Chassidus to wear a covering of the head, but Bisman Hazeh, it's a chiyuv, it's osur. Why? Because the Gemara it's mashma, it's a midas chassidus, and the Torah says it's osur. So the Taz says Bisman Hazeh turn into midas tzanius. It's a megala b'sarem mechutza. Because the meaning Yisrael is to cover this. V'gama aktanim nochel lachas haroshim. Kolshkim dinas elu shanochrim nogu legalat haroshim Yisrael kedoshim. Nizorim zam shum tznius imkein. Ha'oilach afila yoysh begil rosh kamei nochri ez oive be'alav b'chol kesem lo yitelechu. Because who cares? Leheker. Rak shelo yayaska shem shemayim, because that's a separate thing if you want to be maska shem shemayim.
Make sure the Syrian doesn't see this part.
Right.
It's
So there, they made the next. Okay, because in the Shulchan Aruch really brought me the but the Tur, it's not so clear. It's the Tur. The Tur does say it's also. The Poy Shulchan Aruch does say it's also. It's more noit in Shulchan Aruch that it's taka also.
Also what?
That's also to walk begilui rosh. But taka in the Gemara, it's mashma. It's only midas chasidus, either for Yerushalayim, the story of Reb Nachman's mother that would cover his head, or aim to the Mora Resha, for whatever reason. So there's three things in the yarmulke. There is covering your head mitzad midas chasidus, that the Eibush is the balabos. There is covering mitzad tznius, and also mitzad not looking like a goy, because Bazman is a yid wears a yarmulke and a goy doesn't.
What was it mean?
So-
What?
What? What? No, it was very hot. It was very humid. Huh?
Only the priests do, not the regular people.
The Pope.
Right.
It's had to be,
Huh?
it's a Yiddish.
Right. So the truth is, it was very humid, very hot, and where Yidden used to live in the Middle East, and maybe the world changed a little bit. Maybe the humidity went down. That's what he says.
That's why you wear yarmulke?
That's why it was hard for them to wear a yarmulke, because they used to not wear it. Huh? In Texas. Everyone lived in Texas, exactly.
He used to wear more, like the Arabs. He used to wear more because of that.
So how big does it have to be? So I found for you two interesting things. One, the Kute Mariach, given a Choshev Yid, is a Talmud of the Minchas Aluzah, and he has all kinds of interesting stuff. Oh. Talking about the yarmulkes, yeah, Baruch Hashem. So he says, look, the Zohar says that it's a. Don't worry. The kids make noise; it doesn't bother. But he brings, I am beside for Yitav Punim, that it bekasil Yehida Tav, Av Bezdin Siget, Shekusav, that Leilach Mechusa Aroish, Veloy Kemoi. He says that it's not enough. It's not enough that machzis arosh. It's mashma that he held like hilu roiv has to be roiv of the head is covered. Rubikikuloi. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. But I found another. I don't know who this is. Hillel Oimer, Hillel Ben Eliyahu. I don't know who he is, but he's definitely Sephardi because his writing is too beautiful. It's like. Let me just reach for you. Yeah, a tshuva. Shiloh's a tshuva is Hillel Oimer. I didn't get a chance to do a search who he is. Definitely a Sephardi, contemporary Paisik. I don't know who he is. So he writes like this. Regilim ke'eis losim al harosh b'makom kipa ke'ein min tzalachas rekuma shemachasat
Tzalachat rekuma.
רק חלק קטן מאוד של הראש. בעיקר התחילו מן זה בקיבוצים. יהווה זה גילוי ראש. מה הגודל המינימום של הכיפה בכלל? Okay? So he writes like this. באמס בזמן האחרון, לא ישים כיפה קטנה כל כך, ממש כפקק על הבקבוק. Yeah. ומדי פעם היא נופלת ועל הראש. ובואי ניסינו הרבה בראש של רבונים מונדריים, היא שכינה. ורבונים צריכים חיזוק, שמחס כמו איסה, וצריכים צריכים.
Giving the Rabban.
Yeah, this was back then, that it says Divrei Chachamim Tzrichim Chizuk. So he's saying these rabbis, they're putting the pin in the yarmulke. So Divrei Chachamim Tzrichim Chizuk. So this guy is sharp like a tack. He says, "V'zeh mamish kamin choyzik." He called per megadol blurius ubeemtza nekuda ktana kipa metultelis kipa sherak bezachuchis megadelas efshel liroisa. V'zeu kot ketzeir misalach b'ashamav. The pasuk Ketilim. Ma ben kipa zu lahelach begil roish. Ela shezeu moide b'mikzus v'zeh koifer b'koil.
Yeah, good, I like it.
He says a kipa is telling you about the Yiddish Shemayim. Midas a kipa kvar efshel adas midas a Yiddish Shemayim. The bigger the kipa, the bigger the Yiddish Shemayim. So a person that has a small kippah, Yiddish Shemayim legabei miltza zutra sahi. Anyway,
Does he say how big his was?
no, he goes into a little bit of a pilpul that, but is basically he thinks that the whole head has to be covered. So okay, I guess
People don't cover the whole.
no. Okay, I think it would it's a nice shaila. I'd say depends what if it's to show.
Kipa is nice.
Yeah, David is the best keeper. David Sagbir is the best keeper. So
Wait a
if
minute.
you
I have this Kipa.
suppose that
I have that Kipa.
that there's a palabos over him, so l'chayre it doesn't make a difference the size. If you say it's midas that it shouldn't be looking like a goy, also l'chayre doesn't make a difference the size. It doesn't look like a goy. If you say it's midas sneus always depends on what's the going thing. Midas sneus is what's the going thing. What you're saying, what's the makim which is machusa, what's makim megula? Depends. What do most fruma yidden do? That's what's midas sneus. If taka azoy, if all the yidden will start wearing a kipa kipkak al gabi bakbuk, so l'chayre that would be midas sneus. I mean,
but somebody was the first one that did it that day.
Yeah.
Before he did it,
yeah.
meaning it was like that. So who says that this change that maybe was followed by many and now became a majority is called a real change?
She was always pushed me on before. He held that this was like the acre to cover the top.
No, but this guy says fakir. I want to tell you the end of his tshuva. He says no, asvara fakir. He says because it says yesh makom b'rosh l'shnei tefillin, and we shas you wearing tefillin, you're not going to wear yarmulke. We can argue with him. So the tefillin itself. So he says you can't say that the whole head mamish has to be covered because it has to be makom b'rosh l'shnei tefillin. So
cover.
So I didn't put it in the front.
Which
Syria.
well, yeah, here, but I'm not sure. I didn't see Argentina.
I hear.
Go like that, and you saw it somewhere else. Huh? Hamim did it like that? No. What?
Okay.
Only here. Yeah.
That's a separate thing. I'm not.
Okay.
Specifically worded.
Okay. Anyway, so the bottom line is. Yeshemrim kipkak al gabi bakbuk. Yeshemrim it should be a little more than the roy. And Yeshemrim even more than that, but obviously it can't be the whole head. Okay, the it is that every one of us should feel there should be a Yiddish Shemaim atazoi, and that to us taka is Yishmaim, the Yiddish Shemaim should be felt, and to us we should be zoicha that every one of us the Yiddish Shemaim should be a milza zutrisa for us.
Just a question. Tiny question.
I heard that not to make it with leather, there's an Indian not to. I remember that.
I hear. What?
After you close on the new building, are you gonna have to do renovations?
Yeah, sure.
For like 6 months or something?
I don't know.
Yes,
We see how long. Maybe you want the schools to build it. Huh? He could be moicha. He can make a makor. He can make a protest. He can protest. So you can't add. I have this wide way to go through to my seat, and now you're putting a bench with all I can hardly squeeze by. It's harder to get my seat. And I paid for my seat.
What do we say? He has
the right. He has the time.
He
has the right time.
New Orleans. They,
What can do?
the number of people going to school were getting smaller, and the women were complaining that they didn't have air conditioning, so they decided to make the pizza in the men's section. And there's one man refused to leave,
his seat
because he said that his grandfather, great-grandfather, sat there, and that was his whole seat, So he stopped in the women's section after the women came downstairs to the balcony.
All right. You're holding.
Yeah.
Also somebody wants somebody else.
Huh?
Also somebody wants somebody else to stay in the seat.
Oh yeah.
Rabbi Guffin took off out of the school. Then 6 weeks later, Rabbi Guffin got a letter from one of them. They wanted to come back to Beit Chabad. They wanted to apologize.